Thanks for leaving me a generous amount of space up here. He might get wild and crazy. We've heard about this guy's preaching. We don't want to be in the splash seats right in the front. There are a variety of destinations that we arrive at over the course of our lifetimes. Destinations might be a graduation that has been looked forward to for a long time. Destination might be a wedding, and I don't mean the one in Tahiti that everybody flies to, but that time and that commitment and that beginning of a new life that people will look forward to as a new beginning. Destinations might be professional. There might be a particular place that you're aiming at professionally. Somebody might have asked you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And when that question is contemplated, there's this future place, not only physical, but in many different ways, we see ourselves arriving at some place that is not yet but hoped for. And wouldn't it be fun if when you arrive at that place, those places over the course of your life, your GPS app would play that voice for you? You have arrived at your destination. Wouldn't that be funny? Right after the vows are exchanged and the officiant of the wedding pronounces the two people married, you have arrived at your destination. And if we have heard that voice before, it signifies to us that there is an end of a journey. Usually it's in the car. But I want to invite you to think more expansively about that idea of arriving at your destination. I want to invite you to think about that in the ways in which you, over the course of your life, have reached milestones, and what that meant to you to have arrived at that destination. In a way, that is the reality of this morning. We have arrived at the destination of Easter. Now, you may have been to Easter before. That's okay. We have still arrived at the destination. I don't know about your GPS app, but mine has little presets for home and work. And I'm always arriving at those destinations more than any other place I go. And just because I have come to that place doesn't mean that I never will come to that place again. It is in that particular time that my needing to be there has taken place. So it is at this particular time that our needing to be here, not physically in the sanctuary of St. Stephen's Church, but here at the time in which the culmination of a long journey of life is celebrated once again. I didn't grow up in the church. I looked at other kids whose parents made them go to church, and it all looked terribly boring and irrelevant to me. If any of you feel the same way, I could relate. And it wasn't until in my teenage years that I began to get curious about some of these boring and irrelevant things. I could think of lots of other more fun places to be than whatever those church people were doing. And I started to ask questions about the things that they were doing. And one of the things that they talked about was renewal. And as a teenager, I had no understanding of renewal because I had very few experiences from which I could renew. Most all of it was new at that age and at that stage of life. And so I asked him, why do you guys keep doing the same things over and over again? Don't you get bored with that? Why don't you do new things? And somebody in that particular church was very patient and gracious with me. And they led me, didn't just explain, but led me through an experience of what it means to come back to the same destinations that are so important in life. So we don't just do Easter one time and check off the Easter box and go, all right, accomplish that mission. What's the next one? We renew. We return to the destination. We come to the place that we have arrived at once again in this year because, in a certain sense, our lives over the last year have taken us to many places and we need to be renewed. I don't know what the truth of that is for your life's journey over this last year, but I suspect that it's true. I suspect that you, like those first followers of Jesus, may have gone through some things and needed to come to a time and a place in which there is the springing up of new life and new hope. We need to arrive at that destination again and again. So this last week, we have taken the journey that we take every year. The journey through the last days of Jesus' life in which he knew what the end would be. And not in spite of knowing, but because of knowing, he made those times with his followers particularly poignant. There was a sharing of good fellowship. There was a surprise act of humility that nobody saw coming. There was an arrest and a mock trial and an injustice, all kinds of twists and turns in the road that have led to this destination. And so we find ourselves here on Easter. And the thing about arriving at your destination, like I suspect many of the things that you might have thought about when I asked you to reflect on the destinations that you have been to over the course of your life, it is simultaneously both conclusion and new beginning. Arriving at your destination is not final, and you will never go anywhere else. But it is coming to a place in which now something starts. So I invited you to reflect back. But this day is about looking forward and taking from this day and the life of God, which is always standing ready to infuse into our lives a sense of new beginning, a sense of inspiration and strength, and when we need it, healing and forgiveness. So here we are. You have arrived. We are joined together in this Easter celebration, and the voice plays, you have arrived at your destination. Let us begin. Amen.